Welcome to the maiden edition of Shout series. I'm Kemi Obishesan. February is the month of Valentine's. What does it mean to you? Affairs of the heart or simply champagne and chocolate? This episode is packed full of Valentine's delights for your viewing pleasure. Ehinor Otaigbe, the director and founder of Wonderfully Made Woman, shared on domestic abuse and on the Affairs of the Heart event. Victory Outreach Manchester engages singles in their Valentine's event tagged So You Think You Can Marry? Now, let's join AKIN on the street on what Valentine's is to you.
As we all know, this is the season of the year. It's the Valentine period. Valentine is the season of love. But I'll be taking some views from people because Valentine means different things to different people. Here I have a very pretty and beautiful young lady here, and I'll be asking her views on what Valentine actually means to her.
A Lover's Day.
Lover's Day. Okay, and on that day, what do you do? What are you going to do on Valentine's Day?
You share your love with people that you love, basically.
You share love with people. That means you have that special someone which you're going to spend that day with.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. That was very nice of you, okay? And I really hope you enjoy your Valentine's Day. All right, see? I have a very interesting young man standing in front of me. And while I say interesting I mean, look at how he's dressed. He's very interesting. Look at his tie, his suit, his haircut, his swagger. Everything about him is just on point. So I'll be asking him what he's going to do on Valentine's Day.
If you love someone, at least you have to express your love daily, not on that day alone.
It's a special one. All right, sir. So can you just tell me what exactly are you doing on Valentine's Day?
Well, as for now, I had no plan, but on that day, I'm going to take a friend out on a surprise package. I'm going to give her a surprise package.
A surprise package.
My views on Valentine, I would have to say that it's a good time if you have a partner. You know, it's a good time to celebrate a relationship with each other. You know, the fact that you know, you can spend some intimate time together and whatnot. My other view on it is if you've not got a partner, then it can be a bit of a dull time, and it's also a constant reminder that you've not got anyone by your side. So I suppose it kind of works on both sides of the field.
So what happens to those who don't have partners?
Then they ignore this day and just carry on as normal. No, it's just what I think of.
Right, so I presume you have a partner, you have a girlfriend.
Yes, I do.
Celebrating Valentine.
Yeah, I will do.
All right. Do you want to give us a little hint into how you've been celebrating Valentine?
Well, it's kind of unique actually. Well, my partner, Gemma, she's actually interested in music and rock music, so rather than me just getting a card and some flowers, I've actually bought her a ticket to a gig.
Whoa.
To Pink Floyd. So yeah, hopefully that should go quite well.
My name's Harry Pritchard, and I just want to encourage you all to watch Shout Series TV. Thank you.
Ehinor Otaigbe, the director and founder of Wonderfully Made Woman, shared on domestic abuse and on her event Affairs of the Heart.
The organization started in 2011, 17th of July to be precise. It started because of what I went through growing up. I lived in an environment where there was so much domestic abuse everywhere. So I made up my mind that I wanted to be a counselor, but because of the family I grew up from, there's some courses you don't read. So I made an escape by reading law, trying to know my rights as a woman. Then I went to Lagos State University thinking Edo State was where the violence is, but I realized that violence is everywhere. And as a married woman as at that time, I used to, handle counseling sessions for women, based on their emotions, sex and marriage, until I came to the UK in 2005. And unfortunately, I started going through the same thing myself. Even though it wasn't physical, but it drained me, it took away my confidence, and eventually the marriage broke up. And after 2-3 years, I started reading books, knowing myself again, who I am. Then I realized that Psalm 139 verse 14 says, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. And even though I didn't look it then, but I would say it to myself every day. At times I cry because I didn't look wonderfully made. But initially, I started walking towards it. And my confidence just came back by His grace. And I decided, well, I've gone through this, and I had process that I went through to bring back my confidence. And there's so many women going through the same thing in the UK, and they have nowhere to run to. So I decided to set up this organization to bring back the confidence of women going through domestic abuse. We support them depending on their challenges. It depends, some may come in and they're physically abused. When they're physically abused, because we have to, do things according to the law in the UK, it's my duty to report such case to the police if the incident has just happened. I had a case recently where the woman has just been beaten. The son had to call the police. And obviously the police came to me saying, did you know about this event? I went to the woman. She couldn't really speak English. And I had to interpret for her, Yeah, we involve the police at times. But if it's emotional, which we get most of the time, we try to do counseling sessions for them. We have confidence training, confidence in your relationship, self-esteem, building your self-esteem. Then we support them most financially, because most women are being abused financially, especially if they are dependent of their partners and they are not entitled to benefit. So they may be here legally, but they are not entitled to benefit. So when they start having problems, they are always financially down. So that's the main thing we do, because you can't tell someone who is hungry to, gain confidence. So we try to sort that out first before we start confidence and training classes for them. To be honest, it's quite unfortunate that most women don't know that they've been abused, because when you hear of domestic abuse, the first thing that comes to your mind is the physical one. So most men would say, I don't abuse my wife. But at the end of the day, you find out that the physical abuse, if it's not that much, it's easy to let go and forget. But when it's emotional, for example, it takes a while, for the woman to get over that situation, because that self-esteem is gone. So for them to know, they need to, have an avenue where they can go online to find out if they've been abused. If you go to Women's Aid website, which I always encourage people to go to, there are questions there, and they say, answer yes to this, answer yes to that. So by the time you say, oh yeah, I'm going through this, oh, he calls me names, calling names, isolating the woman, abusing them financially, knowing everything, about them, seizing their phones. There are so many ways a woman can be abused. After the inauguration in December 2011, that was when people started recognizing us. And so far we're in partnership with Women's Aid. So if a woman speaks out and goes to the police or the Women's Aid, if they are Nigerians, for example, they will always refer them here. Then we're trying also to start going to churches from next month to let people know that we are here to help them. Because most black Nigerians, they don't want to go to Women's Aid, because most times they're afraid they'll be sent back home. So we want to start going to churches to let them know that we are here, we can help you. You don't have to be, you don't have to go back to Nigeria if you're going through domestic abuse, that there is help for you. Because there's a research going on now. They've realized that Nigerian women don't speak out. So that's why Wonderfully Made Woman is different. It's a Christian organization standing and fighting domestic violence in a friendly way. Yeah, so we speak to men. Most men will say, I don't abuse my wife. But by the time we speak to them, they're like, oh my God, I never knew I've been abusing her. So even the men we've started to educate them on abuse, because they just feel, especially the born again ones, they feel, I don't beat her, then I'm Mr. Perfect. But the wife is dying, so I think is that we're trying to create awareness session. It's for everybody. We have English people coming in, we have Ghanaians, we have people from Zimbabwe, we have people from Malawi, You know, we have so many people coming in all the time, but it's easier for a white person to come and being referred to Women's Aid. Yeah. But why I always say Nigerians, because Nigerians feel very reluctant to go further. So what we do, we stand and help them throughout the process. Yeah. Funding, to be honest, I have just been doing it on my own because it's something I've always been passionate about. And thanks to my mom, she's been supporting financially from Nigeria. My dad as well. Throughout the inauguration, all the expenses was paid by them because she believes that one day I'll come back to Nigeria to help women. Then, not until last year, September, we got funding from Forever Manchester to do an event, the Christmas event we did, Confidence Extravaganza. Then somehow God lifted us up, and Seedbed Charity Organization heard about me, asked me to come for an interview, and they funded us for just 1 year. So, but that's not enough because I'm supposed to use it as my salary, but eventually you can't find a woman, you know, hungry with the kids and you're thinking of yourself. So most time we have to spend so much on these women, you know, with feeding and all of that. It's for feeding, because we do not want women to take advantage of the organization. What we do is we can only give cash if it's for specific needs. Specific in the sense that is if the woman is going to use it to pay for dinner for the children, we make sure that we go there to pay for the dinner for the children. So we don't want to give a woman £100, for example, and the next thing she finds herself in TK Maxx. Yeah, we need to be sure of what she's doing. Then if a woman comes to say, I don't have anything in my home, then I say, okay, fine, list out what you need. Where do you shop? You know, then we take the woman to the shop, she buys everything that she needs, and she's happy. She goes home with the food, we make sure the food is there for the kids. That's what we do. We want to reach out to them, you know, meet that need at that point in time. Then we do clothing as well. We collect new and used clothes from people and give it to women and their children that cannot afford to buy new ones. We did that last year as well. Most women, because majority of them are blacks, there are some food that they don't eat. So we'll prefer the cash, take them to the shop, they do the shopping and they're okay. Because there's no point giving somebody maybe baked beans, for example. I don't eat baked beans. So if you give me, it's of no use to me. Yeah. So we prefer to just give them what they need.
This is Mercy Ministry on Shout Series TV.
Some do come and visit, but most time we have to do outreach, which means we have to go to their houses. That means spending money to buy petrol, you know, looking for people that will go with you, you know, just to be safe. You don't want to go there alone in case of any emergency. So most time we do outreach, and it's not easy when you're trying to do that. But at times people don't want to come here, so they could say, well, I can meet you in the library at so time, because that will be safe for her. So it depends on individual actually. But we try as much as possible to be very confidential about the whole thing. So if I'm going to book an appointment for 4 people, for instance, I will say, okay, you come 10 o'clock, and the next person may be 10:45 when the other person would have left. So you don't see yourself on the way and people start saying, oh, she's got problem, I saw her in Wonderfully Made Woman. So we try to be very, very confidential about the whole thing. Affairs of the Heart is something that I'm very passionate about. I've always had that name since last year, but I didn't do anything about it. I'm one person that is very emotional, and have realized that in Christian homes, to be specific, a lot of marriages are suffering. People don't want to talk about this thing, sex, and it's affecting a lot of homes. And I've had a situation where we do meetings and we talk about it, and these women are saying, why can't we have event where more people will come. I was in one last month and I was feeling so guilty. So I said to myself, okay, February is coming. I'm going to do this thing. You know, you go to churches, you go for women meeting. Everybody is talking about heaven. This is good. But women are suffering. The men are suffering. And I've realized that most Christian couples were not virgins when they got married. They must have had one affair or the other. And they were wild about the whole thing. Then they get married and everybody is restricted. The Bible says marriage is honorable and the bed is undefiled. So why can't we talk about this thing, sex?
Affairs of the Heart 2013. We just want to say thank you and you're welcome for coming.
This organization is about confidence. And if you're going through emotional pain, emotional torture in your homes, definitely your confidence will be gone. It will be gone because you just find out that nothing is working. So for us to be able to deal with our marriages well and effectively, that is why we're here today.
I think relationships are really tough, whether it's a friendship or a mother and father sibling friendship. But one of the things that I've learned is that having a third person in your relationship, like a buddy or like a counsellor, or even maybe someone in your church who you can bounce off with and share your ideals.
Story of not knowing how to speak my mind and not knowing how to say what I want. And I know I'm not alone in that. Many women find it hard to speak their truth. And if you're one of those women, you know that you're listening to this very good advice and you know you want to be able to do it, but you don't know how. It might be that speaking to somebody outside the marriage could help you find your voice, practicing with somebody else, talking about what you are unhappy about, what you feel you want to be able to say to your husband. Just learning to hear the words coming out of your mouth with another audience might give you the confidence to be able to come home and say it to your husband.
We did a course, like a marriage course, a few years ago within our church. One of the things that really kind of was good for us was what they suggested was having a marriage time, not where you particularly speak about, I want to talk to you about this problem, but just spend time together, get to know each other and away from all the other stuff. And it wasn't for people having problems.
Because sometimes I agree with you, you look at the problem and then it just makes it so big and it's not that big a deal. Do you know what I mean? It's just from the friendship, what you talked about, from communication. How do you communicate? How one person may want to communicate, it's going to be different to how another person wants to communicate. So if they communicate, but what does that mean to you and me?
I have been following what you do, and God bless you. I am a man, and I have so many girls in my life. I have dated my wife before we got married. But since we had our children, she has become too rigid. She doesn't make up. I don't even like what she wears. And I have told her and even bought clothes for her. But she prefers to listen and copy her pastor, who is old-fashioned.
Of challenge, which I think we've spoken to. I mean, looking over at you, Carol, this point about her being able to find her self-expression, and it sounds like that isn't what's happening. She's found a new kind of person to tell her what to do, and it's her pastor, and her husband is finding that difficult, so he's trying to tell her what to do, whereas essentially she needs to kind of find her own self-expression. And so if she's here, I really call out to her, to trust yourself and let yourself be yourself. But meanwhile, I feel for this man, he's really missing the woman he fell in love with. She's got lost somewhere in motherhood and the burdens of motherhood.
The problem we have as Christians these days is that we don't even read the Bible ourselves. We just go to church, the pastor has said, and we go home. And most time, because we are so, we're carried away with positions in church, so you want to please your pastor. Your first assignment is your home. Do your best, leave the rest for God. Even if the man leaves tomorrow, you will know that you have tried. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Your pastor's wife or your pastor's husband, the pastor himself, is old-fashioned. The wife may just like him the way he is. Or the man may like the wife as an old-fashioned pastor's wife, but you are not the pastor's wife.
It still boils down to communication again. That's the most important. They need to sit themselves down and talk about this. I'm also looking at the angle of what is their definition of what she's wearing. I'm not saying you should dress like a whore outside, but you could dress to look presentable. But at home, if he wants you to dress like a whore at home, sure, why not? In my house, for instance, my wife and I, in my bedroom, it's a taboo for you to put on anything. You don't wear anything in the bedroom. It's a taboo. It's not a hard and fast rule, but that's us at home. If he wants you to dress skimpy at home, fine. It's your home. Whatever spices up your marriage, whatever spices up your home, why not?
I want to say to the woman that the man still loves you, so please submit everything to him.
He used to tell me, oh, I love long hair, and I wanted to cut my hair short. So at the time he was telling me, oh, I love women with long hair. I said, oh, but I wanted to cut my hair low. He said, no, I love long hair. Probably, when he's on the bed, he like, just to play with the hair.
This woman should count herself lucky, even for her husband to say it out that this is what I want. This is the way I want you to look. Unlike before, I will take myself as an example. I used to wear, long skirts. And the skirts would just be, going about in the house everywhere. without, I just dress anyhow without knowing that even my husband doesn't like it. But he didn't come out and tell me that, oh, I don't like this. But his behavior just changed in the house. And he would be behaving somehow. I was like, what is going on? Without knowing, no makeup, nothing. Even if I'm going out, I just go out anyhow. I don't care. I don't care at all. But all of a sudden, he was just saying, we're just talking about someone. And he just said, oh, look at that one. In that big skirt. He would just be going about, And I said, but this is what I used to wear, but you don't tell me this. He said, I won't tell you because I don't know how you will take it. You might not like it. So, for what he said, I said, oh, extreme makeover. And I changed. So, so all the long skirts, all, any clothes that is not, because I believe that, oh, I'm fat, I'm big, and I think, oh, but I look myself inside the mirror and say, yo, I am beautiful. I am beautiful, and I have to go for it. So just have that self-confidence. It is very, very important.
You're listening to your pastor and not taking any notice of what your husband thinks or what your husband wants. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. Wives, submit to your own husband as to the Lord. Why are you listening to your husband? Because you think he's a man of God. Or to the pastor, because you think he's a man of God, isn't it? And then you are disregarding your husband. But the Bible says, submit to your husband as of the Lord, as you are submitting to God.
Let me be the one beside you. I say I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. You are the woman of my dream.
The fourth question says, my husband always jumps on me. Never bothered about if I'm enjoying it. I am too shy to bring up the topic. What do I do?
If she's saying the husband just jumps on her and all that, on her own part, does she know what to do to arouse him while they're there? She needs to work on herself. Look for books to read. Look for ways to educate yourself, in the bedroom. What you want, get him to do it.
Especially in this environment where you find people creating time for other leisure. Everybody is busy. But if there is humor in your marriage, you see that a hitherto difficult situation just melts at the point of humor. For instance, in my marriage, My husband is a man of very, very few words. If I have to take him up on that, romantically, I would say 0. But I know the way he humorously tells me he loves me. He will not even say it expressly, but in a way, we might be watching a movie, and that was the day I said, oh, you don't do that. Then we were watching a movie, and somebody was singing for the woman. I said, you don't sing for me, you sing. He said, you are beautiful. And I said,
wait, take up your spouse as a project. Go on internet. My husband said I'm internet savvy because internet is there for us. You can just Google anything. Google how to spice up my marriage. Believe me, it will be there.
The couple of things that I've noticed while I've been both working and personally being single is that couples need a third person, some kind of buddy system, another couple, or even spiritual counselling. And the other thing that I think that couples seriously need is some honesty and some really clear communication.
A very, very nice program for us because we really learned a lot from today's, a lot of opening questions we are throwing out, and people were asking questions, and there was feedback as well.
It's a place where you rub minds with other women and men who have been successful in their marriages, and you learn new things about yours, even if you are not. You don't really have to go through issues in marriage.
We learned a lot, you know, how to be a good, wonderfully made woman, how to, you know, prove ourselves, you know, to our, maybe to our spouses.
My name is Abby, and I represent Mercy Ministry from the World Harvest Christian Center. Mercy Ministry is a ministry in World Harvest Church, like I said, and as the name implies, it's actually about giving to the needy, showing compassion, showing mercy, you know. So what we do, we reach out to the church, the needs of the church, even though we're a small group, but we just try to contribute money together, and whenever there's a need, whatever the need is, financial, emotional, we just try to meet it as much as we can. And what we are doing now, we're also reaching out to our local community, you know, getting their names, doing coffee mornings, and all sorts of things. By God's grace, we're hoping that we'll be able to go nationwide.
That Christians can actually open up about intimate issues, about sexual issues, about issues that you know, maybe, you know, a lot of us kind of think about or feel, but I don't really think that it's the right thing for Christians to necessarily, you know, speak openly about. And it's been a lovely surprise, and it's been very pleasant to sort of discover that, you know, we are real people. We know we're real, but to discover that other Christians are real as well. I think that's been a really, really lovely thing about today.
A lot of men can be very dominant in marriage, and the wives submit to that. But I think it's very important that we remember the passage that says that although the man is to be the main figure in the marriage, and that he should, and the wife should submit to the man, that the man should also love the wife as Christ loves the church. And I think that's one thing we've learned today, is it's very important in marriage.
So Valentine will not just be a time you go out with your spouse or your loved one. It will be a time where you can actually sit down and talk about things that, you know, that is affecting your home, things that is affecting your marriage, you know, effective communication, sex and marriage, things that will spice up your relationship for good.
Then this is Shout Series. That's that. Then I want to say something.
To the maiden, I don't know it off the top of my head yet.
One of you.